Welcome back. So, I got some questions today. A couple questions. I'm getting back to, I need to get to my video manager. Okay, I did title it right. Just wanted to see, you can bookmark individual pages, right? Let's bookmark this. So I have a way to get back here. Bookmark this page. Video. We want to put it in social. Let's hit done. Alright, I like it. I have a way to get there now to easily check my titles. Alright, let's get to the bird's eye view. So, I was asked, do we paraphrase or do we read? Let's read and then we will kind of ask from there. Okay, so they're thinking that their computer needs cleaned up. They have a free antivirus on their laptop or their computer. Should they pay for an upgrade, or is there a tutorial online to show them how to do a cleanup, what they could do? And would needing a new battery make it slow? Okay. No, the battery's not going to make it slower. However, newer computers, when they are indeed unplugged, it can throttle down the performance. Even some older computers, like 5-6 years old, when it's unplugged, it'll go under a different power plan, and said computer, when unplugged running on battery, it throttles the CPU down, it runs at a lower clock speed and whatnot, and that's to save performance, unless you go in and adjust that power plan. Now, needing a newer battery, it's also going to run for a less amount of time on battery, but is it going to slow it down with the older battery with it plugged in? I suppose if the battery was bad and shortened, it would probably kill the computer before it would slow it down. Strictly opinion here. Like, I'm not the end-all be-all. I know in the world of computers and devices and, electronics, I know about that much, the space between the tips of my fingers, which is very little here. We'll pull the Sony over here. Okay, yeah, I know very little. Can you see that? The space between the tips of the fingers? That's about how much I know. Nothing. Like, compared to some other crazy. Share what I do know. So we're going to take a computer. This was pulled at random. This may not even pertain to your problem. But if we want to look at it covering the signature, come here, Sony. We can see that run slow is one particular problem. Okay, so it's a Toshiba. We're going to see if our Toshiba power supply will fit this. If it does, then good on us for having something that fits, because they sure didn't bring one. And as is typical, it does fit. So let's go ahead and get a little more room on this power supply. And move on over to the laptop. Does it have HDMI? It does. So we may be able to run this out to a monitor. I'm going to scan the actual desktop and see that there's not like any personal files or anything there. And if so, we will jump on over. If not, I can just call out what I do as we look at the horrible resolution of the display. So, a basic cleanup with your free version. You could go and pay for an upgrade to AVG or Avast, or you could buy Kaspersky, Total Online Security, Total Security, I forget what it's called. Kaspersky Total Security, I think. That's alright. I mean, now, if allegedly they're giving government info to the Russians or whoever, this is what I've been told, what I've read online, and if you're not a government person, then you don't have any info that they actually want. So, going with that logic, you could actually buy Kaspersky and not have any of your info lost. But whether that's true or false isn't up to me to decide. That would be have to go through a courtroom and be found guilty and whatnot. So let's sign this computer in. Let me scan this desktop quick. So we've got picnic addresses, we've got some documents. We do have an image display which we're going to close down. And this looks like a Canon quick menu. We'll close that down. See what's running in our bottom right. Just don't want to give away anything of anybody's. So this one, funny enough, has Kaspersky Internet Security on it, Kaspersky Secure Connection, Windows Defender. Everything is actions needed, and then we got the Internet. Alright, so let's run this out to a display. Where would this one be? Is that the repair? Is it going to clone it? And it did. Okay. Let me take a look on a brighter, not as dirty screen. Okay, so we do have a username there. Nothing giving anything away other than a first name. Okay. Good enough. I've also had other questions before. Did anybody take a look at this thing? The amount of stuff on it. Now the top's clean, the bottom's clean, but when you open it up, you've got, look at that. Watch this. You don't always have time to clean them, okay? So anyhow, let's get back to our repair. We're going to get one, we have our power, which we're good there. We have our HDMI cable running out, and then we have this. While I plug that in, we'll go back up here for a moment and see if this USB port even works. Now, yeah, you could upgrade to a paid version. Most people don't like doing that. They want something for free, which is understandable. That stuff costs money. Money's not free. Not everybody has lots of money to throw away on something they don't know, one, if it's even going to help, or two. Okay, so we do have working USB port, at least. We're going to go ahead and copy a few programs over. Actually, you know what? No, we won't. We will legit go in. Alright, let's hop on back onto the repair. So one of the first things that you're going to run, and even if you have an old version of it, it's ADW Cleaner. If it's an older version, it should prompt you to download and save a newer version. So let's go ahead and highlight the ADW cleaner, the newest one, and then we will right click and run as admin. All of these programs we're going to run as admin, and we're going to say yes. We're going to hide that. Now, to let these programs run properly, we're going to exit what we can of the Kaspersky program. Secure Connect, if it will let us exit, it should. Driver update, that's something that has to be pulled off, but we're not going to go and remove stuff right away. For right now, we're just going to try and get our Wi-Fi menu to pop up. It's not even popping up, so let's do this. Let's hit our notifications. Okay. And there it is. We'll get that, and we'll hit connect. And does it give a password? It does not. So we can legit type the password, and hopefully it's not showing up. Alright, we'll connect. Alright, we are connected. ADW has started up. We're going to hit I agree. We can see when the last scan was ran, number of scans, total detections. We're going to hit scan now and let this do its thing. This program should run through fairly quick. There's a few things that I normally do for a basic quick cleanup, just like a patch job, to help your computer out. Okay, sorry, we'll leave that there. You can see it's starting to detect. Like legit, it's detecting now. We're going to run through these first couple, then go in and remove some programs, and then run back over at least ADW Cleaner, and then start a Malwarebytes scan. And that would be it. And then from there, there's a lot more you can do, but for that quick cleanup to get a little bit of life back into your computer, this should be fine. Okay, so now we can actually go through. And remember that program that I was that driver update right there. So it's a potentially unwanted program. That's what a pup is. We're gonna hit. We can look through the list if we want to be curious. Mostly pups and some adware. So let's go ahead and hit next. Pre-installed software is found. Okay. HP Clean Toshiba Battery Manager. We'll go through and look at these to make sure none of them are actually bad. It's all system utilities. Pre-installed. So Toshiba stuff. And Wild Tangent Games. That comes on a lot of computers. We're going to quarantine all the other stuff that it found while letting the pre-installed software there. The computer will need to do a reboot generally. So let's click restart now and go back up above. Watch this thing reboot. It's going to do its deal. So that's one down. And as you go through these, you should start seeing a little bit of life coming back to your computer little by little. Where is my... There's my mouse. Okay. There's my mouse. Love it. Alright, computer, come back to life. Come back to life. Alright. Oh, okay, so it is coming back up. Let me pull the HDMI cable. Okay, so it's doing its spinny thing, going to the login screen. And logging in. Now these are a few of the steps. Well, it's not logged in yet, it's working on it. Okay, we're back to a desktop. We'll go ahead and plug our HDMI cable back in. Whoa! Is there a volume wheel on this thing? And that came out of nowhere. They tried knocking us over with the sound wave on that one. I feel pretty dumb, like I can't find the volume keys. Is it really on escape? That's impossible. Alright, so we muted it. That's the cam link? Oh, I get it. Okay, escapes. Let's get some sound back. Now, how do we turn that sound down? Right there it was. Alright. And we're going to close out this picture and quit our Canon quick menu. We don't want to completely do them in because the user has them starting up. Alright, application update. We will download the new version 7.4.1. I think we have 7.4 of ADW, and we'll run this in a few minutes after we go over the next few things. Did I not hit that? Or is it just, oh, it's stuttering. Okay, so this is part of the computer that's starting up. So still a little bit of ways to go. We'll go ahead and start it back up. That was it starting itself up after doing a cleanup. And what do we have here? Processes. Startup. Alright, you're going to go into startup and disable some of this stuff that is likely not important. Again, we're going to turn off Kaspersky. Kaspersky Internet Security, yes. Continue, as they can mess with our tools that we use to clean stuff up. OneDrive not signed in. And being that OneDrive isn't signed in, let's right-click it. While we're here, go to Settings. We're going to uncheck these. It's not something they're using. You get, I think, 5 gigs of storage. And that's that. So let's do that. And then we'll get our OneDrive icon. We're going to right-click it and close it. Close OneDrive. It should not start up again. Java Scheduler. It's low. We'll leave it there. Canon quick menu, hi. Audio Toshiba. Right, so all that stuff can start up without issue. Alright. Tool number 2 that we're going to run. And if you have a lot starting up when the computer first starts, that's where you would disable it. How do we do this? Let's go here. We'll turn our light back on. What you would do to bring that up, you could do Control-Alt-Delete. Control-Alt-Delete and get this window. And go to Task Manager. and it will open up Task Manager, but I'm going to hit cancel. One way to get to that window without hitting Control-Delete is Control-Shift-Escape. So hold down Control, hold down Shift, hit Escape, and release all of them. And what that brings up is this actual Task Manager window. So Control-Shift-Escape brings it up, and you don't get the grayed out screen. Just gets there a little faster. And you could go in there, stuck at Startup, and if there's stuff starting up you don't want starting up, highlight it, right click, and you can disable it. Be careful what you disable. You don't want to disable anything for like your display driver, your audio, your trackpad, anything essential. Even though it may still work even without it, it should work if you do disable it, and you could re-enable it. Moving on, let's go to our second program on the list. Sorry, I forgot I switched. I'm going to right click, go out, and you can download these. What you can do is open up Chrome, look for a program called JRT or Junkware Removal Tool. And this is what it looks like. Run it, highlight it, right click, run as admin, or have the mouse cursor in the right spot to highlight it, and just right click without it highlighted, and you'll get to run as admin as long as you're pointing to the proper thing. Press any key to continue. It will attempt a few things. If this takes a while, then you may be in for a bigger hassle than what you thought. While this is doing its thing though, I'm going to move it over here out of the way slightly, and I'm going to take a look at another computer. So let's swing the Sony out of the way. We need to connect this up to some power and see what exactly is going on with it. So we're going to get plugged into the KVM. We have an option for a mouse and keyboard. We'll try both there. Plug in sound. We got our monitor already, and then we're going to go for power. Switch it on and see what happens. We have room to set this down so we can kind of get some of it in view. We can get enough in view. So let's take a look. We have our 12 volt rail. We checked that. We have our CPU fan is plugged into the right spot. We have our RAM plugged in. And we have another fan plugged in to the system fan header. Our audio, everything looks good. Everything is out of the way there. We're going to power it up. Alright, to me it doesn't sound like it's starting up at all. And that was the word we got. So I'm gonna say dead power supply possibly, but not so quick. Let's unplug it. We'll check on our JRT. Alright. Requesting restore point, success. Validating restore point, failed. Restore point creation encountered an error. If you'd like to continue anyway, press any key to continue. It's telling you there is a risk. High risk, I would say no, but there is a risk. You don't have a restore point if something else goes wrong. You may be forced into doing a data backup from another computer if your computer don't boot, and then reinstalling Windows. We're going to hit enter, and it will start doing what it does. Let's go back over here. We're going to unplug a few things. We have our main power cable, and then we have our 12 volt rail. We're going to get those, pull them out. We need a SATA wire, which we have, and then if we can find a Molex wire. And we have a 6-pin. We have that is not how that works, man. anybody see this? Did anybody see this? Hold on a minute. We're gonna stop the show for a moment on the cleanup. I've seen this before, and this is an easy mistake to make. But let's look at this. All I did was pull a few wires out. We're gonna put our power wire back in. This is our 24 pin. Wire. We didn't unplug any of those SATA. They're not what's plugged in here. We're going to put our 12 volt rail back where it was, which was over here. And he did have both of them plugged in. Okay, so there was, and I said Molex SATA 12 volt rail in the 24 pin, and then this P6 pin 6 or 8 pin PCI Express. So I pulled that 12 volt rail to power. Now let's take a look at stuff. The CPU fan is hooked up. We have this fan over here that is not hooked up to anything, but it could be. We have our audio cable. We're gonna skip around a little bit. We have that looks like the front panel USB. We have our power reset switch, hard drive LED, power LED, and probably something else. We have our SATA cables, RAM, 20 pin, dual 12 volt rail, CPU fan, RAM. Everything looks good, but you see this here. This is a spot for, well, it's a system fan connector. And that is for, you can see, maybe you can see. Let me try and focus on that. That's as close as I can get it. Can we get the glare off, I guess? Yeah, see that? SYS FAN. So SYS FAN. Come on, focus. Don't be dumb. SYS FAN system fan. Now let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, so we get a broader picture here and see what? This is not a fan wire. This goes, it's 4 pin, it comes back to the Molex. Molex, where does the Molex go? The Molex wire leads to the big lead of wires that are coming out of the power supply. This Molex wire runs the whole way back into our power supply. So we're powering our whole motherboard here. We got our 12 volt rail powered here. These power older style hard drives, or you can plug them into, certain fans to power them. When they have a Molex adapter, you can plug that in there. These will power like hot swap bays, SATA hard drives, SSDs, and this type of power connector that's down here. Do we have another one here? I don't even have another one to show you. This will power other interfaces like all-in-one card readers, floppy drives, other accessories, but it doesn't go on a fan header. A system fan header will quite commonly, like a CPU, puts power out. It doesn't need power to go into it. It puts power out to the fan. So we just moved our CPU fan from the CPU fan header over to the system fan header. And we're going to put it right back here where it goes. Although the 4 pins kind of do line up, that is not the same connection at all. That is not the same connector. You can see a difference. You have a slotted part here that trying to dim that light down. Yeah, no good. Let's darken it. Okay, so you have a slotted connector you can see that that is offset that way. It doesn't come all the way to this edge here. This one is much different. Let's try and focus that. There we go. So yeah, they're slightly different from each other. Even if we flip one over, there we can see all the pins where they go in. This one we can see the pins where they go in. They are vastly different. Turn the light back on. And this power was sending power into a spot on the motherboard where power was coming out. So that is a problem. We'll get right back to that. Back to these questions. When JRT, Junkware Removal Tool by Malwarebytes, finishes, you'll get a little text document. Go ahead and close it out. The program closes out. If you're on Windows 7, you could Google and download MBRCheck, another tool. And then RKill. This is an older version. We're going to right click and run as admin. Look it up. It is RKILL. So just Google that. Download the most recent version you can. You can right click run as admin. And see if it even does anything. After you run these three, and then we're going to go into the control panel. I don't think this is actually going to complete because it's not doing anything right now. There's no display in that window whatsoever other than the blinking cursor. So we may have to take some further steps. Our Kaspersky is shut down. Our Windows Defender is MIA, it looks like. Yeah, everything's kind of shut down. So we're going to go in to Control Panel, see if we can get in there and uninstall some programs after this completes. For the time being, let's hop back in over here. So we've removed our power cable, our 4-pin power for, I think, floppy drives. Yeah, floppy drives. 20 in 1, 10 in 1, 19 in 1, 35 in 1, 72 in 1 card readers, however many in 1. You can power a card reader with this or a different type of USB standard. Usually they go in the front of your computer, floppy drives, which aren't in much use these days. This puts power out, this puts power out. You don't connect the two together. This was looking for one of these to power a fan. So now that we have power going to the right spots and not any additional spots, will this computer turn on? I don't know. I've seen this go both ways. So let's turn the power on. I don't see any lights on the motherboard, but we do have fan spin. We got a loud fan back there and it doesn't sound pretty. Our KVM is fired up, but we have nothing on screen currently. And there we go. We are dual BIOS. The main BIOS is corrupted. The system will recover from the backup BIOS. Please do not turn off power or reset the system. This may take a few minutes updating the main BIOS. So we've got a noisy fan. I've seen that particular problem happen because those 4 pins are so close and the connectors are similar but not the same. I've seen that happen many times in 2 different outcomes. One of 2 outcomes usually happens. A, or 3. A, the computer works fine. B, the computer works fine and you lose a memory slot or 2 if it has multiple, like 4. Or B, the computer's just done if they manage to adapt if they manage to mess up another adapter connection and then end up and terminate at this one to that spot. Okay, so we're going to let this go and see what happens over there. Let's come back to this. Okay, so ArcHill did not run. It's trying to run, but it did not. It's not actually going to finish. Let's go into the control panel and see what's here. Right click works, however left click isn't. Start stuttering. Let's look for that 741. It doesn't seem like it went there. Let's check our drive. And fire this up again, see if it prompts us to download with our internet connection. It may, it may not. It is version 7.4, so 7.4.1 would be, we're very likely, because this program does wonders. I'd like to download it. And we're actually missing our buttons. That download button is in the wrong spot. Okay. So with that happening, we're going to fire up the installed version of Malwarebytes and see if this can work wonders. If that doesn't work, we may have other issues on hand. And the quick cleanup isn't going to work. Alright, reboot and select proper boot device. Okay, so we'll update the database for Malwarebytes. This is, what, the free version, 221.1043, one of my favorites. I like this program version, however, it bugs you. Even if you go in and uncheck update, check for program updates, it will keep bugging you and bugging you to update. But you can get recent databases. But does this work better than the new one? No, I don't think so. But this was one of my favorites before we got to newer versions. Alright, so our computer, we have one other problem. We don't have any power going to the SATA drive. So we're going to power off and attempt to connect some power to our SATA drive. And I don't know what state this is in. I'm going to have to call this young man and see what exactly he is looking to do, because I think he is building this computer. I'm not sure. I could be mistaken. I think he is building it. Maybe he needs some help along the way. I don't know. But I don't see a power wire going to the SATA drive either. So Malwarebytes is about done updating. Let's get a couple of these cables out of the way. We're going to bundle them up and keep them away from that CPU fan, if possible. Zip ties work wonders for this. Alright, and here is that new version of Malwarebytes. We're going to say later. The database, you can see database version is up to date, 2019 9.10 and the 08, whatever, that must be some version there. We're going to hit scan and let this run through. Get through an instance of ADW Cleaner, JRT, ArcHill, and then you get to Malwarebytes. After that, you should be okay. Go in to control panel and then flip it down from category to small icons. However, this thing does have issues. If this finds anything, I'll be surprised. Being that ArcHill would not run, if this finds nothing, or just doesn't complete or stops working, it won't be a surprise at all, since Arkill would not run and work. If that's the case, if you can't get ADW, JRT, or Arkill to work, when your Malwarebytes doesn't want to do much, you may need to get that computer shut down, tore down, pull the hard drive out, plug it into another computer as an external, and run a scan on it that way with Malwarebytes. There are other tools to use, I think FRST, but that's pretty complicated. I wouldn't recommend that for your normal, common, like your average user. I'm trying to think what else. But yes, a paid version of an antivirus would do a little better than free, but do you have to? No. Should you? Probably. Let's hope this finds something. And this is just the first few steps on a long road, but this is almost the end of the road for a quick basic cleanup of what I would call. There's a lot of damage that's done to Windows and the registry and the files themselves within Windows, like operating system files, that needs repaired after you do this. But just doing these first couple scans will get you on the way to get a little life back from your computer. Back to this mess. We're going to try and bundle these up to keep them away from the CPU fan. We could actually unplug this, possibly. Quite possibly. Yes, I think we will. And we will run it under this, because we're going to connect to that. So let's plug in our hard drive. Again, and then we're going to jump one of these up to our DVD drive, or optical drive, which is up here. And then we'll have that one and just go back down. Could be to another hard drive, but this will be more in getting these cables cleaned up and bundled together out of the way. And this is our 6-pin cable. There's 6 plus 2, so an 8. That is our Molex wire. That does go down around that way. Trying to think of a better way to bundle that up. I think we could let that wire run across, possibly, even though I do not prefer doing it that way. Bundle these Molex wires up. We're going to zip tie right around all this. What is that? 12-volt rail. We will pull that and get it under. We want to get this fan wire under also. So for right now, what do we have? Do we have anything that will work to tie this up? No, we don't. So let's grab a zip tie, a set of cutters, and get those wires out of our way. And then we're going to power back up and see if we can get something to boot. So we've got our 12-volt rail. We're going to feed that down under. We will plug that in shortly. Let's go ahead and get this jumbled mess pulled together. And try and clean this up just slightly, a little bit more. We only need one of those for the fan connector, so if we can manage to get one of them over there where it's easily accessible, and that should do it. in other cases, there's bigger, better, newer ways to actually do your cable management. Versus just kind of like shoving it in here and strapping it up with a big fat zip tie. You can hide a lot of stuff. That should be okay. That will hurt nothing. We're going to try and get this fan connected. The CPU fan is connected. We don't have a wire on here to make this a system fan off the board. But we're going to do now, get the 12 volt rail plugged back in. And honestly, I don't think it needs both of these, not with the CPU that's in here. But we're going to plug them both in so we don't have to bring one wire back, get crazy with it. That I would undoubtedly like to spin. The fan. Maybe he just brought this down here for some cable management. Who knows? We're going to pull our Molex header out and plug it in to power said fan. As long as we can get the pins to line up. These adapters are usually, they don't line up, and we got super lucky there. Alright, that'll keep it away from the power supply. We're going to put a little, we're actually going to twist this and then put a knot in it. So what we're doing is putting a tight twist in it. We don't want to rip it loose from the fan, so after we have the twist, we'll grab by the fan, grab here, pull a little, that will kind of lock that in. It'll unspin a little, but for the most part, it will stay twisted. We're going to loop a knot into it. And then plug it back in and not even pull that knot tight, just a loose knot, and it keeps it out of the way of the fan. Other than that, everything is hooked up. Seems to be hooked up. Let's see if this thing's gonna work after sending 5 volts and 3 volts, I think, or maybe just 3.3 volt to the system fan connector. I've seen that a lot, a super lot. So we gotta come out, get our power wire, get it plugged back in. Do we have onboard HDMI? Indeed we do. I don't want to connect it just in case it's got a user email, or if you actually installed an operating system, I don't want it to come up to a login screen with a first and last name. So what we'll do, we'll power it up and see what happens on the KVM. Malwarebytes actually is finding stuff. Detected objects too, we can view the identified threats. They're yellow. They're only pups. So one is a registry key, it looks like, and the other one is the actual file where it's at. So we're going to let it finish and see if it finds anything. Running programs multiple times can yield different results. Some of the stuff gets layered in there, you know, like an onion. You undo one layer and there's just more. So sometimes it can work like an onion. We're going to, oh wow, so he did have some Windows happening. Some Windows 7. Above. This is currently booting into Windows 7. I don't know where is this gentleman's name. We'll give him a call. Won't turn on, has a sound of power, but just won't turn on. Well, that would be because you had a, I don't even know how to explain it. And this is just a dumb adapter, but if they made one, imagine for a moment, if you would, taking one of these plugs, and imagine another plug just like this and an adapter to plug both of them together. Or better yet, here's the other end of this adapter, which is an AC adapter for laptops. So you plug this end of the wall, you got this end here, you get another one, plug the other one into the wall, and then try and plug both of them together. It's not going to compute. You're going to be having 19 volts touch 19 volts, and it's not going to work out. So, it is time to get out of here, sadly. Going to let this Malwarebytes finish up while I'm here. If it does, if it don't, it could take a while. Once it gets to scan file system and then heuristic analysis, it could take a while. We actually have somewhat of a result with this one booting up now. It is making its way slowly to a desktop. So I'm going to call him and see what he knows. Did he buy it used? Was it just kind of left how it was? What's going on? You know? What's going on with it? It looks like he's got Steam on it, so who knows? We've got to make the call and find out what happened with this. We've got the Toshiba. We've got the custom-built old AMD computer. I will leave you there. So, to run over that again, I even write them down. Let me find a piece of paper. Let me find a piece of paper that makes sense where you can see. We'll write it in something big and bold. I'm going to say get these 4 in that order, save Malwarebytes till last, try and get the other ones to run. There you go, in that order. That's just basically like you got a hole in your tire that's leaking, but you can pump it up and drive for a couple days. You can run these and run the computer for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and not run into any apparent issues, or depending on how serious the issues you're trying to fix with this quick resolution, it may come back the same day, later, whatever. A lot more to it than that, but that's a good place to start, to do a basic cleanup to check it out. Just Google it, ADW cleaner, add the word download, JRT, download, rkill, download, Malwarebytes, download, add the word terms, and you'll find the download for it. A good place you can find them is Major Geeks is a good site. The Malwarebytes homepage, malwarebytes.org.com, one of the two. And I think Bleeping Computer may have some of them. I think Bleeping Computer does, but you can go to Major Geeks and other sites. But just literally Google those names with download. Anyhow, this is where it's at. We got these things. Have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's one of those. Thank you for hanging out, getting your hands dirty. I hope between bouncing from this to that, some of your questions were answered. Hopefully it does you well. And yes, paying some money to upgrade to a paid version, you'll get slightly different results. Better results? I don't know. I've never bought many antiviruses. I don't even really run one. But then again, I'm not just being reckless on the internet. But still, they say you need it whether you are or not. Everybody needs one. I don't know. I'm not a security expert, but that's my take on it, my 2 cents. Thank you for clicking the link, hanging out. I appreciate each and every single person that watches a minute of this ever. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you're into this stuff, it's a hobby, a passion, a job, like it, and you like it, share it. Get it out there, spread it. Show people how to do it. Get them into it. This technology is not going anywhere. It's only going to evolve and get crazier. One day, it's going to be the little Toshiba versus the, AK-47 or the AK-74, the SK. No, I'm just kidding. Someday, Matrix, real world. Check it out now. Have a good one. Once again, thank you. I will see you tomorrow with more stuff.